Every new innovative idea goes through the same life cycle. This S-curve shows the graph of how new tech is adopted over time by the masses. This graph, the diffusion of innovation curve, is how you can make money off of that S-curve. You need to understand what's about to happen in the next couple of years. Let's go. If you got into Bitcoin for less than $1, then congratulations, you're an innovator.
I really like it down here. I live literally right by the World Trade Center. I walk home. I live above it, actually. My ankle bracelet tells the government where I am every second of the day.
Closing numbers on the markets today. At one point, the market fell as if down a well.
It was an historic day with Wall Street shaken to its very foundation. And even the health of the most trusted firms are now being called into question.
In 2008, I became somewhat obsessed with the role that money itself played in the crisis and the role that governments and banks played in money. And why was it that our money was controlled by central banks?
This is a monetary revolution. Bitcoin is the honest currency.
I discovered Bitcoin's power when I understood for the first time that it was not controlled by a central company or a central person, because I knew that meant it couldn't be shut down. And if it can't get shut down, all it needs is to do something useful, and it will become more and more adopted. And as the value grows, people will find more and more uses for it.
632 bid, 654 offer in the New York cash market for Bitcoin. Buyers right now will pay $632 cash on the spot.
Okay, let's dive into this curve and look at what we've been doing for the last 5 years. There will always be early adopters, those people who are willing to stand in line for hours or days just to get access to the new tech.
I'm here for the PlayStation 2.
And these people are so important because it gives good projects the momentum that it needs to become great. And in terms of investing, these people become the wealthiest. Think about stocks like Amazon, Apple, Tesla, and Nvidia, and the people who started investing when they were less than the price of a cup of coffee. And I get it, new things are scary and untested, and there are still early adopters who fumble the bag.
Whoa, Jay, this is so exciting. Okay, got it. All right, we're doing the reveal. His name's Jack.
And because exposure to this new arena may not be successful and look exactly the way you wanted it to, people sit and watch from the sidelines. Whatever reason you give yourself to sit on the sideline may be valid, but now we are at a pivotal moment in Bitcoin's history, which is called the tipping point or chasm if you're nasty. The tipping point is like the canon event in Into the Spider-Verse. It's something that's unavoidable, and if it doesn't happen, that outcome is more scarier if it didn't ever take place. Bitcoin's tipping point is institutions buying in. Companies that own trillions of dollars can now buy up Bitcoin and sell a derivative to their customers. And while I can do a whole video on the price blow up situation when this occurs, we're gonna stay focused on this curve. People who are waiting on the sidelines for the price to drop while Bitcoin was sitting at around 50K are now gonna hold their heads down and walk away when the price shoots up to 500K. And I've already done a video on Bitcoin on how it goes above 500K. I'll leave a link to that in the description. But all of this information that I'm talking about is now going to be compounded with the fact that the halving event is coming up in less than 2 months. So if you can get Bitcoin for less than 69,000, that's an all-time high price. Get your mind out of the gutter. This is a family channel. Then congratulations, you're an early adopter. There's not much to say about these folks. I mean, I've been telling you guys for years to be buying up Bitcoin. And now if the price is 6 figures when you're watching this, you know, just buy what you can. But at this point, the only people who can really move the price of Bitcoin in the early majority are going to be other big corporations. If Tesla buys more, if Apple buys more, if Nvidia buys, so on and so forth. And as far as late majority goes, this is when nation states are going to start buying in. Nigeria, if you're watching, please be the first in Africa to start adopting Bitcoin. And so my hypothesis is if you're buying Bitcoin for over 100K, you're in the early majority. And if you're buying Bitcoin over 500K, you're in the late majority. And as for these people, I mean...
You wanna know what Bitcoin is?
I don't want it to be. I know what it is. You know what I prefer? I prefer dollars.
These are the guys that are texting each other on their flip phones, rejoicing in the fact that Bitcoin just dropped by 25% and they were right all along, even though the price is over 7 figures at that point. But they're gonna crawl out of their cardboard box and realize that cars are driving themselves and all of humanity is pretty much digital. What does that mean? I don't know, but stay away from those people.
So in my pocket, I have 100 trillion Zimbabwe dollars from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, just as a reminder of, what happens if our governments screw up our money.
That's going to do it for this episode, folks. If you enjoyed what you saw, if you understand what I'm talking about, please consider subscribing to the channel. I make videos about building wealth along with a winning mindset. And don't forget to pay the like tax. Comment below whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear them. I will read them and respond to you. Please, please, please buy Bitcoin. Just $5 worth. Avoid your coffee for a day and buy Bitcoin for $5. You'll get Satoshis is what they call them, fractions of Bitcoin. But you do this every single month and you'll start to accumulate more than zero, which is better than what the average person probably has. If you can do more than $5, that's great, but don't put your life savings into it. Do whatever that you can afford, but do it monthly, do it consistently. If you want to get rich and buy some altcoins, that's on you. But if you want to build actual wealth, you need to focus on Bitcoin.
Message!
Actual wealth. You got to get salubrious with it. Wealth, okay? Do you want wealth? Because I do, and that's why I focus on Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, send it to a trusted hardware wallet. You're Gucci for the future. You're Gucci for the future. Looking at the amount of articles that I read, videos that I watch, things that I listen to, I am legit afeared for the future of people who aren't investing right now. It's not going to look good, and I don't mean to be this sort of negative Nancy dystopian type person, but it's going to look something like 1984. And I don't mean that facetiously. The wealth gap is not going to improve. It doesn't matter who's in office.
We must preserve biodiversity by deploying nature-based solutions, and we must narrow the gap between the rich and the poor to achieve more sustainable global development. And we must narrow the gap between the rich and the poor.
Because you're watching and because you hopefully subscribe to the channel, you're my family, so I have to protect you because I love you. And until the next one, remember to smile because you are beautiful. Peace.